Hi everyone, Erica of Confident Parenting. I'm popping on to answer another one of your burning sleep questions. Today's question comes from Kristina, and it's about naps. Kristina says, my 18-month-old cannot sleep for more than 1 hour, an hour 15 if it's a good day, 45 minutes on a bad day, and it's the only nap he'll take. So Kristina, what I'd like to do today is just tell you some of the more common reasons I see little ones taking shorter naps than what they need, and maybe give you some ideas of where to start to fix that. So just to start off with, the average age to transition from a 2 nap a day schedule to a 1 nap a day schedule is around 15 to 18 months of age. So he is well within and almost beyond that age range. So I don't think the problem is that it's too early. However, that being said, even if your child is totally ready for that transition and you go about it in a really good way, it is just that. It's a transition, it's an adjustment, and it is really hard on some little ones. So just know, first of all, that it's not uncommon to have a tough start into the transition to 1 nap. I don't know how long it has been. Maybe this is not a new transition for you guys. Maybe it's been a while. But if it is new, that's the first thing I would say, is it may just take more time for his body to catch on and realize, hey, this is the only nap that I'm getting. I'm not getting 2 anymore, so I really need this one to be longer. So that would be my first question for you, Kristina, is when did he make this switch from 2 naps to 1? And if it was recently, within the last few weeks or so, then don't panic. It might just take more time. If you think about it, when your child was taking 2 naps a day, each of those naps probably only lasted about 60 to 90 minutes, and then they would wake up and take another nap of the same length. So when they first make the switch to 1 nap, the body's still kind of programmed to only nap for about 60 to 90 minutes and then wake up. And it takes time for the body to catch on, like I said, and stretch that to a longer nap. When they do stretch to a longer nap, typically that nap will lengthen to about 2, sometimes 2.5 hours. So I agree that he can't get by comfortably on 1 hour. So we do want to fix that, but it may take some more time. So that would be my first thought, is maybe he has not fully adjusted yet to this transition. The second thing that I would think about is how bright is it? And this may or may not be a factor for you, Kristina, but for everybody else's benefit. Some kids just reach an age or stage or schedule where the brightness of the room didn't used to be a factor, and now suddenly it is a factor. So take a look, sit in his room around his regular nap time, and just kind of hang out there and see how bright it is. Because if your toddler's really busy and active and alert and aware and not wanting to miss out on anything, then it may be the case that, especially during the summer when it's really bright and we get lots of daylight, that there's just too much daylight in his room to help him go beyond that hour of sleep. When he hits a transition during his nap, he may say, oh, I've had an hour, it's enough to take the edge off, and I notice that it's sunny outside and I'm missing out on everything, so I might as well get up, but it's not really enough to get him through to bedtime. So take a look at the level of the light in the room at that time of day. A good rule of thumb is that if you can sit in that room and comfortably read a book without straining your eyes, it's probably a little too bright for easy sleep. So you may want to add another level of darkness, either with room darkening shades or just some trash bags and tape. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, and see if that helps in terms of the duration of the nap. Welcome to everybody who's joining live. We're just talking about short naps with an 18-month-old. So my second suggestion would be to make sure it's not too bright in there. The third thing I would suggest for you to think about, Kristina, and anybody else who's struggling with this, is how tired is he by the time that nap rolls around? One of the most common reasons for a shorter than ideal nap, as backwards as it sounds, is a child being too tired for that nap when they initially fell asleep. So keep in mind, or be aware if you're not aware, that none of us actually sleep through the night, or your child doesn't sleep straight through a nap. There are little transitions between the sleep cycles that happen. And when your child is transitioning, if they were too tired when they fell asleep for that nap, they're less likely to shift over into the next sleep cycle and more likely to pop fully awake and say, I've had enough, the edge is taken off, I think I'm ready to get up and go. But the nap hasn't been long enough yet. So if you're noticing that he's getting really fussy, whiny, cranky, heading toward nap time, or that he's getting drowsy during the nap routine, or even falling fully asleep at the nap routine, that could suggest that he is too tired by the time he falls asleep for his nap, which could be causing the short duration of the nap. And if that's the case, then I would recommend to experiment with pulling the timing of the nap earlier in short increments until you find a time where he both goes down easily and stays down for a longer period of time. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of experimentation. Generally, I find the noon hour to work really well. By 12:30, their rhythms are kind of telling them they need to be down. Some kids can nap by 1, but when you're having a nap issue, I don't find the later timing to be very successful to help you correct that issue. And sometimes I've fixed a short nap problem by pulling the nap as early as 11:30 to ensure that they are appropriately tired but not overtired. And then once the nap lengthens to about 2 hours or wherever you want it to be, then you can start gradually pushing it back to a more convenient time for you. So I would play around with timing between that 11:30 to 12:30 range and see if there is a time where he can still go down easily but stay down longer than this hour that he's been giving you. I would also look for a correlation on the days that he takes a 45-minute nap. Did that start later on the clock? Had he been awake longer from morning wake time to the start of the nap? If so, you'll know that timing is probably causing even shorter naps, the 45-minute versus the 60. And look for correlation too on the days that he takes the longer nap. Hour and 45 minutes is great. It may not be perfect, but it's better than an hour. So look to see if there was any difference on those days. Was he less tired going down? Did the nap fall earlier on the clock? Or was the wakeful period from morning wake time to the start of the nap shorter? If so, again, you'll know that that shorter, earlier timing will lead to a better nap for you. So those are the clues that you kind of want to look for. So again, my third suggestion being making sure that your child is not overtired by the time the nap starts. That will typically give you a shorter than ideal nap. For my final suggestion, what I don't know about your scenario, Kristina, is how your toddler falls asleep initially at the start of the nap. Are you putting him into the crib awake and he puts himself to sleep independently? Are you staying with him and helping him in some way, rubbing his back, something like that? Or is he falling asleep with you, on you, in arms, being rocked or held? Is he nursing or falling asleep on a bottle? While those things are not bad or wrong in and of themselves, they can sometimes trigger short naps as well as trigger night waking. And again, it goes back to the transitions. If you're helping him fall asleep for the nap and he hits a transition around the 45 to 60 minute mark and he notices that that help is gone, let's say, for example, you rocked him to sleep and transferred him into the crib, that is working for you maybe in that it gets him to sleep and then the transfer is successful. However, sometimes that isn't working for us in that our child pops awake shortly after, and in the absence of that help, they are fully awake and unwilling or unable to get back to sleep. So if all the first 3 things I mentioned make no difference when you try them and you're helping him to sleep in some way for the nap, then that's the final piece that I would take a look at. And that's a little bit more of a conversation than we can have here today, but it would require probably weaning off whatever help you're giving him so that he can master falling asleep independently at the start of the nap. And once he's mastered that, he'll be better equipped to be willing and able to stay or at least return to sleep partway through the nap. While you're working on that, or let's say in your situation, that's not a factor, he goes in totally awake, puts himself to sleep and is still popping up, then my final piece of advice would be to try either coaching him back to sleep when he wakes too soon, whatever help you give him at the start, see if you can repeat that when he pops up at the 45 to 60 minute mark and get him back to sleep. Or if he is putting himself to sleep independently, I would suggest giving him a little time when he pops up too soon to see if he can get himself back to sleep independently. He may just be in a habit of popping up at 45 to 60 minutes, and if you give him a little time and space to work through that transition spot on his own, he'll master returning to sleep at that spot, and you may get at least another 45-minute cycle, if not more, out of that. So sometimes all the things that I've mentioned are lined up and are in place, and it really just boils down to a child needing to have some practice at learning how to return to sleep at nap transitions. If you need to try that, I would say give him at least 15 to 20 minutes anytime the nap is shorter than an hour and a half. So let's say he naps for 45 minutes and pops awake. you would either spend 15 to 20 minutes trying to help him back to sleep in the same way that you helped him to sleep, or if that's not your scenario and he's going down independently, you could give him 15 to 20 minutes to try to put himself back to sleep. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It will feel like a failure, but the success therein lies in the fact that you've given him some time and space to try to work it out. And as you keep trying that on a day-to-day basis, and assuming that the timing is right and the light is not a factor and all of that, he should get more skilled at returning to sleep at that spot, and then should begin staying asleep through those spots and taking a longer nap. So hopefully, Kristina, and anyone else who's struggling with this issue, that gives you a few things to start thinking about. Of course, if you can't sort it out on your own, come and find me. We'll tackle it together. If you have a sleep question that you'd like answered, feel free to post it on my Confident Parenting Facebook page, or post it in the comments below this video, and maybe I will pick yours next. I'm popping on each week to answer at least one question, so it might be yours. And thanks for joining me. I'll see you again soon.